Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youthman. I hope you've been enjoying the home theater tours that I've been doing every single day over the past 6 days. Yesterday, though, I took a much needed break. This was a project probably bigger than I had anticipated, but I'm grateful to be able to crank out these videos for you guys. If you're not familiar with the channel, I recently I flew up to Wisconsin and Illinois. I filmed 12 home theater tours. I actually visited 13 of them and filmed 12 of them. And then when I came back on the way home on the plane, I decided, you know what? Instead of producing these and editing these and getting them out to you guys over the next several months, what would happen if I did this in 13 days? And so it's been crazy. But yesterday I took a much needed day off. Just to kind of hit pause, kind of recollect myself and take care of some personal things that we have going on in our family. But man, I'm excited, I'm rested, and I'm ready to hit it again. And so this morning I posted a video of Nick's home theater. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience with that. And so I met Nick about 1.5 years ago when I flew up to Wisconsin to check out some JTR speakers and hear that and do a tour of the factory. And one day I was at Tony's house and Nick came over, and Nick was, excuse me, basically the programmer for Tony's setup. And when I get to talking about Tony's setup, I'll share with you more about what Nick did in his theater room. But I quickly realized that Nick is an incredibly intelligent young man, very, very gifted in programming. And so in the video that I shared earlier today, Nick has an apartment. And so he's got a small space to work with, doesn't have a dedicated theater room like I do. And Nick still wanted to have some great sound. He wanted to be able to enjoy watching movies, listening to concerts, but he also wanted to make sure he wasn't disturbing his neighbors, because if you live in an apartment, I know it's really easy for sound to travel through walls. And so Nick just had a lot of limitations, but instead of saying, oh, well, I live in an apartment, I'll just have to enjoy my TV speakers or enjoy a sound bar, Nick said, no, I want to come up with some creative things that I can do in my apartment that would allow me to experience a movie theater-like experience. And so we show up at Nick's house and he gives us some demos man, I think that was the first time maybe that I've ever heard Axiom speakers. And so was really, really pleased with that. We listened to probably 4 or 5 tracks, music tracks, maybe 6 or 7, something like that. Beautiful sounding speakers, just, you know, we weren't like cranking it by any means, just a very nice volume. The sound was full, detailed, and he's got a small subwoofer behind the couch. And then he's also got some bass shakers in the seats. Again, he has the subwoofer, as he explained in the video, he's got them near field. So immediately right behind his seat, he's got a subwoofer. So you get that tactile bass response without having to have massive subwoofers. Again, being in an apartment, you can't really have dual 18s or your neighbor's gonna be calling the cops on you every single night. And adding those bass transducers, those kind of similar to butt kickers, by vibrating the seats, when the bass hits, you get that tactile feeling, but the neighbors don't feel that. And so definitely a really creative space there. Some of the things I really, really liked about what Nick did in his room was, I would have never thought to do this. Now, of course, he doesn't have a spouse. And so if you have a spouse, you might not be able to get away with this. But Nick's like, dude, I'm single. I can make my apartment however I want. And so he had the freedom to do things like build this sidewall on the left that kind of staged off this area and made just kind of sectioned off his theater room in his living room. I thought that was super creative. And of course, he's got black velvet on there, so it absorbs any of that light or felt. I'm not sure which one he was using. He did the same thing with the masking panels. If you look at the masking panels, originally he wasn't even going to show them. I'm like, man, show them, dude. The whole point of DIY is it doesn't matter what it looks like on the back of it. What matters is it gets a job done. And when you put those on there, and I love how easy he made those, the little hooks on the top, magnets on the bottom. I mean, it's easy for him to just put that on there and set that masking up, and then it really just makes a more seamless experience because you don't have those gray bars on the top and the bottom. And so I love that. Dude, Nick, when you pulled off the cover to your AC unit, I about lost it. I'm like, You got to be. I had no idea the AC was there, and I'm standing in front of it. It was just so black in that corner. I'm like, that's genius. Because, I mean, here you have this big AC unit just right in the middle of the living room. And he's like, oh, we'll fix that. And he puts this little, I think it was like a cardboard box maybe. Nothing fancy, but man, it worked perfect. And so that was super cool. And then even covering the shades, man, how genius was that? You know, to be able to kind of create this blackout curtain just with a curtain rod, and to be able to kind of slide those, the blinds behind that blackout section, man, just really, really adds to, again, that immersive experience that you want when you're watching movies. You don't want light spilling anywhere. And even those little touches as far as putting the little velvet on the sides of his speakers. Honestly, I never would have thought of that. Now, granted, I've got speakers behind my screen, so I don't really have to worry about that. But if I had my speakers out here, I don't know if I would have thought to put velvet on the speakers to prevent light from spilling back onto the screen or even being a distraction to my eyes. So thought that was super cool. And then a couple other things, the little hush box. So he was talking about where his projector is. It's right above his head. And I don't know if you've ever had a projector in your room, but especially if it's right above your head, it's really, really obvious during a movie, unless it's just really loud during that scene. But if it kind of gets quiet, man, that fan kicks on, you're like, whoa, it just takes you out of the movie. And so by creating that little hush box, the noise from the vent goes into that box, and inside the box, you just got insulation in there to absorb that sound. And so, man, I was like, golly, that's genius. I mean, that's something so simple, but yet so creative and really inexpensive to do. I just thought that was super cool. And then of course, at the end of the video, he begins to share his app. And so here's where like the genius side comes out. I mean, this dude creates his own app because he wasn't real satisfied with, the remotes that you have with each one of your units. And I don't know the ins and outs of that, but the great thing is he's not trying to profit off of this. He just says, look, I want to benefit the audio community and be a blessing to them. And so if you want to kind of dive in that and see what it's all about, see if it's a good fit for your setup, I posted a link in that video, and I'll try to post one in this video as well in the description to that app. It's open source. You can download it, code it, play with it. And Nick did not ask me to do this, but I'm going to ask it. If you use his app and if you love it, man, at least give the thought of giving him a donation. I think he's got like a PayPal button on there. He's not charging anybody. But I know when you put your heart and soul into something and you want to share that with the audio community, not expecting anything in return, man, it's always appreciative when people acknowledge your hard work and acknowledge your skill and say, hey, I just want to say thank you. And that's a great way that you can do so for him. But man, Nick, I mean, just what you've done in a small space, and now probably apart from the projector, of course, an NX5 JVC isn't super inexpensive. We're not talking about, like a BenQ, couple $1,000 projector. So yes, that's on the pricier side maybe. And so somebody with a DIY budget and trying to keep it really, really, minimal on the cost aspect of it, maybe you don't go with that high of a projector, but just the other little details that he had in his room, man, like we're talking pennies on the dollar to be able to implement some of those things into your home theater in an apartment setup, or maybe you live in a townhome or a condo and you're just trying to come up with some creative ways to make a really unique, awesome home theater experience in your setup without disturbing your neighbors. And so just very, very well done. I think a lot of you guys, I've been reading your comments and replying to them, and even Nick's been responding to you directly as well, and I appreciate him doing that. But just seeing your feedback saying, man, I can totally relate to this because I don't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on my home theater, and I don't have the ability to have, dual 18s, or I don't have the ability to, to crank it up reference level and just blast it in my room, but I still want good quality sound. I think Nick just did a great job of kind of showing you what you can do in a small space with a relatively inexpensive budget. And so if that video has been helpful to you, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, like I said, I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. But we've got more videos coming, guys. I think I've got another 5 or 6 videos. I don't even know at this point. I think there's 5 more, maybe 6 more, because there's technically 12 videos that we're going to be doing. But I'm also going to talk about Tony's. His is the 13th one. I just didn't get a chance to film it, man. We were just go every single day from like 5 or 6 in the morning. Most of the time not getting back to Tony's until midnight or 1. And he told me, Michael, I can't see when we can do mine and provide an update on some things that I've done in my theater room. And I'm like, nah, man, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. Well, guess what? We didn't get it. We legit ran out of time. It was crazy. But that trip was phenomenal. And so if you like these type of series, I'm not sure I can guarantee I will be able to crank one out a day in future series like this. But if you like this, definitely let me know in the comments below. I know there's some other groups out there, maybe in your, all right, so I'm going to solicit your help. If you have a group of guys in your area, at least within a, maybe say a couple hour range of you. So if it's an hour, 2 hour drive, but maybe you've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. People that that just have some cool home theaters like this that we've been sharing here on the channel. Reach out to me at hometheatertours.com, submit that, and then in the comments, let me know, hey, Michael, I've got a few other guys that we could kind of network, and let's get on the phone. Let's talk about it. Let's see if we can figure out how to make that work. I would love to be able to continue to do this for you guys because I know they're inspirational. I know that we all have different budgets. We all have different shapes and size rooms. We all have different limitations that we have to try to overcome in our room. And I think that these home theater tours are just super, super inspirational. I find value out of pretty much each one that I get to experience and share on the channel. And I think you guys can relate to that as well. So like I said, if you've got a great home theater, submit it. If you've got a group of guys, that would be even better, especially if it's not in the state of Florida. If you're in the state of Florida and you're not too far from like Tampa or Orlando, shoot, even if you're in like West Palm Beach, man, I'll load up my wife. We'll go down and we'll spend the night in a hotel and just hang out. She can go chill at the beach, and then I'll go do the home theater tour the next day. So definitely in Florida is easier, but when we're traveling out of state, that's just going to add some more logistics. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Tomorrow, we've got another great home theater that I'll be sharing at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you haven't checked out the Youthman merch for the home theater tours, you can go to hometheatertours.com/merch. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.